Hello, guys, and welcome to the second episode of FPL Singhs Draft Day. As you know, I'm not alone again. My name is Prab, and I'm joined with one of the funniest people that I know from the FPL Twitter community. I've not known him for a long time, but he's been an absolute gem, and he's come on this show. And without further ado, FPL BHUNA, how are you doing, mate? Thanks for coming on.
No, it's my pleasure. Honestly, it's no, thank you for asking me to come on. And like you said, we've not been speaking for too long, but it's been an absolute pleasure that I too have shared. So, yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a rather short journey, but I think game week 1 has come by and taken everyone by storm. Everyone seems to have hit that 100 points mark, and I know you yourself did so, as we can see on the screen your rank. Talk us through your game week 1. How did it go?
It went probably as good as it could have gone, to be honest with you. As most people said to me pre game week 1 deadline, you seem to have too many eggs in one basket. And having all of my eggs in 2 or 3 baskets seems to have paid off. 111 points, like you've rightly said there, across 4 teams, predominantly United, West Ham, Aston Villa, and Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think I could have done too much better. I mean, it would have been nice if Sanchez had turned up and Target didn't get ruined by Sarr, which is a bit of a worry. But other than that, brilliant.
Yeah, I think as far as game week 1 scores go, I think this is one of the best starts that I've had personally. I'm not sure about yourself, but we'll not hang around talking about game week 1 because game week 2 is right around the corner,
Oh
and
no.
I'm pretty excited with the fixtures. All right then. So let's get into predictions for game week 2. And I'm just going to ask you a quick one. Which match do you see being the most scoring, the highest scoring match out of all the games
It's
that we
an,
have?
it's an easy one, isn't it? Manchester City 10, Norwich nil. It's got it written all over it. Team can't defend. Next question.
Yeah, I think if we didn't have Pep Roulette, I think everyone would have at least one City asset. And if they didn't have Spurs in their first fixture, your team Spurs, whom they got annihilated by, um,
They did. They
yeah,
did.
I,
But also, if Salah and Bruno hadn't smashed it the way they did, I think we might have seen a lot more people considering sideways switches to the likes of Mahrez, Grealish, and more importantly, KDB.
all right. Speaking of Mahrez and Grealish, let's move on to the one-hit wonder team, which is essentially a free hit team, only focused around game week 2. And on the screen, we have your game week 2 free hit team. Maybe you want to talk us through it?
I'm gonna bring it back up on screen so I can see it.
All right.
And yeah, like you said, I've got Sanchez in goal, a back three off target, Simicas and Cancelo. I think Cancelo is probably a little bit of a risk, but if he plays, I think he's in with a very good chance of doing well. A midfield five of Salah, Mahrez, Fernandez, Greenwood, and Jack Grealish, with a front two of Danny Ings and Ivan Toney. I mean, I think the 3 City assets really do speak for themselves. If anyone is on a free hit or a wild card this week, it's a no-brainer having those City assets in their team. Unfortunately, most of us, particularly those that have had a good start to the season, are now wedded to the players that did well for us in game week 1. So those switches, particularly for hits for Man City midfielders, I don't think it's for me as much as I would love to.
Yeah, I completely agree. You see the likes of Fernandez, Greenwood, and Salah, who all three returned in game week 1. And I think if anyone was gonna say that, and most of us do have three of those players in our teams, and since you do predict them to get relatively good scores in game week 2, I think we should be fine, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should be fine. I think all those players are likely to do well. Um, I think it's a risky play getting rid of one of Bruno or Salah to fund KDB, because although the upside is decent, KDB could go absolutely ballistic. the ownership of that player, particularly amongst the Twitter community and those that play the game seriously, is very low. It's more so the casuals that will be getting those points. Sorry, that is what they are. They are casuals, unfortunately. We've got to say it as it is. But if I was to get rid of a player this week to bring in the likes of KDB or Mahrez, it probably would be Salah, because he plays Burnley at home, who at home he doesn't have a brilliant record against, and there's rumours of him potentially being away for game weeks 4 and 5, potentially. Nothing set in stone. And in between that, game week 3, he plays Chelsea at home, where I'm looking to potentially move him away for Son anyway. So that would be a 1 week punt that I would consider.
In my opinion, for this week, I think despite his record against Burnley in the past 4 years, was it that he doesn't have any returns or something? Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. I mean, away from
Yeah.
home, he does brilliant, but
Yeah.
at home, he struggles for some reason. Having said that, there's so many caveats to it, right? They're playing at home at Anfield for the first time in front of a full crowd in a very, very long time. So I'm sure they'll be buoyed.
Yeah, for sure. In the defense, you have Matt Target, who's standing out to me because of how when I watched Villa last week, they pretty much crumbled in the first half to a newly promoted side in Watford. What's your thought process behind having Matt Target in your defense?
I mean, it's a concern for me, like you rightly said there, particularly with Amati having such a bad game. Apparently, despite keeping a clean sheet, apparently he there was a lot of errors he made, and Veltman's now being ruled out for this weekend. So I don't have a bench, and I have Matt Target, who, like you said, only played 45 minutes and got torn apart like by Sarr. So I've got a decision to make now. I personally think Target will still play. I mean, he had an absolutely brilliant season for them last season, albeit some people were burnt by him in FPL. For that reason, I think he'll play. But I think I'll need to upgrade Veltman or do a sideways switch off Veltman to someone else, just so I've got at least one bench player, especially with Diego Jota also in my side, who's another risk, which I'm sure you'd come to mention anyway, with Firmino coming on for him late last game and doing really well when he was on the field. He's also a slight concern for me, but not someone that I want to get rid of.
More to do with the free hit team. I Target is priced at 5 million, if I'm not mistaken. Would you have the likes of Sofal or any other assets for just game week 2, solely game week 2, or do you think that?
I think maybe I want to target. So clearly, the main thing with my free hit team is I want to target Villa defense. I know that they didn't do as well against Watford. They conceded 3 goals, in fact. But this is Newcastle now, who I personally always think of Newcastle as an absolutely shocking team, regardless of whether they've scored 2 goals or 3 goals and Wilson scored. I'll make a substitution and we'll bring in Matty Cash just for that certainty. But I want to target that Villa defense is what I'm trying to say there.
All right. So that's it for the free hit team. As you can see on the screen, it just has a squad value of 99.7, and with the price rises, I think most of you can afford that team if you're going for you're going to use one of your chips this week, and triple City, triple Liverpool, double Liverpool, if I may say, double United. And I think if you have most of those players in that team, we do have, so I don't think it's going to be a game week that will worry too much, or people that out of the box might hamper our scores. So we'll move on to the next segment of the show.
Just very quickly as well, sorry. Just to add to my free hit kind of thought process. If you with a free hit team, you're also looking to maximize and you're looking to be as differential as possible in an ideal situation. And I think the likes of Cancelo and Target or Cash aren't as widely owned. So I think they could be nice differentials given their fixtures. But there's so much interchangeability with a free hit draft like this. Like the Aston Villa defence could quite easily be Shaw, which is only 0.5 more. And I'm sure most people would be able to afford that as well.
Yeah. And before we move on, again, I would like to touch on the strikers. You have Danny Ings in there, who people have criticized and said that he was shambolic and got lucky with the last minute penalty. Do you see him scoring against Newcastle side?
At least 1 goal, if not 2. I think Newcastle's defence. I mean, we saw Newcastle's defence. They had the most highest XG conceded in game week 1. Their defense is absolutely shocking. It's the threadbare at the moment. They've got so many injuries, and particularly in goal as well. So I think Aston Villa could quite possibly take them to the cleaners.
Right.
I understand people's perspective on Ings. Yes, he did score a very, very late penalty, but that's just what it does.
So that's it for the free hit team for game week 2, and we'll move on to the next segment of the show. All right, now we have this segment of the show, the second segment, which is called Sleepers, Keepers, Weepers. In this segment, our guest will be naming one sleeper, one keeper, and a weeper for this game week, particularly game week 2, which we'll be talking about today. And a sleeper is essentially someone that the FPL community and us in general have been sleeping on. And a keeper is one that has a relatively high ownership, and we should get into our teams or keep rather. And a weeper is someone when you look at your score after the game week and you look at this player and you regret either not selling him or getting him in, transferring him into your teams, and he'll probably make you weep after you see that game week score. And on the screen, we do have 3 players that BHUNA has selected. And we'll start with the sleeper for this game week, which is Kevin De Bruyne. Talk us through it, BHUNA.
Do I need to? What do I even need to say?
Yeah.
The reason he's a sleeper is because not many people are going to be going for him. And he's got a brilliant record against Norwich. And they play them at home. And Norwich are rubbish. And I just have a feeling he's going to absolutely destroy them. And like I said, we've got the likes of Salah and Bruno in our team. And the vast majority of us are not going to be moving them. And therefore, we will be sleeping on them. And that's why he's my sleeper of the week.
Right. And he's not the only Man City player on this list. And next up, we do have Riyad Mahrez, who is relatively high owned in the FPL Twitter community. Yeah, so why is he a keeper for you?
He's a keeper. And the reason I've got him on this list is because I've seen a lot of people talking about getting rid of him, moving him out, because he's not performed as well in game week 1. But if you've brought him in game week 1, you've brought him in game week 1 to get ahead of the curve for this particular game week. Realistically, we didn't really expect him to do as well against Tottenham, albeit they're in their own current, they've got their own issues on and off the field at the moment. But you can't get rid of him before Norwich. Who's going to start ahead of him? I personally can't see him starting ahead of anyone. Can't see him being benched ahead of anyone. And it's not like they've got midweek commitments or anything that, he's playing 3 games in a week. For me, he starts and you've got to keep him.
Yeah. He was unlucky to score, I would say, against Spurs. And I think coming off the right, coming in, cutting in with his signature move, I think he could just pretty much hurt this Norwich side, and I think caused them a lot of problems, like you said.
And also, I didn't actually watch the game, but apparently Mane and Simicast caused Max Aarons on their right flank a whole host of trouble. And that is absolutely useless information because he does not play on that wing, so I will forget about that completely.
Yeah, but I think having someone like Grealish, who even if he starts in the center, will hug the left touchline and will come in off the left. I think he could be a good asset if you're looking to either play a chip or if you already have him in your teams. Next up, this is going to be unpopular, especially with the Twitter community. Our weeper for this week, your weeper in fact, is Said Benrahma.
So, I own him, as you all know. But he's my weeper for this week, i.e. someone that I wouldn't necessarily suggest getting rid of him, but if you were to get rid of anyone this week for a punt for another player, it'd be him. Just with the Lingard rumours looming, but also apparently he didn't have the best of first halves. Yeah, he came into it in the second half. And it's not an easy opponent that he's going to be coming up against. It's Leicester City. I'm hoping he does well. But I don't think if you've got money in the bank to upgrade him to a City midfielder like Grealish or Gundogan, if you're taking that risk, I don't know if he's going to play or not. Don't take my word for it. I I don't think he's a terrible risk. You've also got Greenwood, who's only a million or 1.5 million more. So if you've got the money, then brilliant.
Yeah. A lot of people have been getting rid of Harvey Barnes for like the likes of Ben Rama. What do you think of that in the short term as well as the long term?
I can understand why, but it's only been one game week. There would have been some reasoning behind why you chose Harvey Barnes, and I'm sure and I'm hoping that reasoning was more and beyond just one game week of thought. Um, but also, I'll just ask you to cast your eyes towards his game week 3 fixture, and at that point, we'll put our pens down because in game week 3 he plays Norwich City. Let him play. West Ham have shown that defensively they aren't at the moment as resilient. They're conceding 2 goals against a poor Newcastle team. There's absolutely no reason why Harvey Barnes cannot do the same against West Ham. I think he could have fun. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think you should keep him.
Yeah, I do have him in my team personally, and I think when
Oh, he's rubbish. He's rubbish. Take him out. He's rubbish.
nah, I when I got him in, it was not just the first fixture or the first two that I was looking at. It was more the Norwich fixture in game week 3, where if you're brave enough, you could even go for him as a differential captain. But I don't think I'm gonna go there. But I think transferring him out based off one performance is a bit far fetched. So yeah, so Said Ben Rama to make his weep for game week 2, according to BHUNA. All right, so we have the community segment of the show where we involve you guys, and I've put up a post on my Twitter at FPL Singhs asking you guys for your teams, and in this segment we'll get our expert, our guest on this show to rate your teams. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, on the screen you can see the first team that we have, and thank you guys for sending in your teams. For those who have sent their teams for 2 game weeks in a row, thanks for participating. And yeah, so let's get into it. So we'll start the 60-second timer. Just give me a second. You'll see that on screen now, and we'll go whenever you're ready, BHUNA.
All right, brilliant. You going to introduce the team?
All right, so we'll start with FPL Bruno.
Brilliant. Strong team. Fernandes captain. Can't complain with that. Salah vice captain. Could be either way. Otherwise, good team balance. The bench is a little bit weak. You might need to upgrade some of the bench. Moving on, we have got at Boubacar Cheka, Tsimikas, Digne, Shaw, Ben Rama. Mahrez captain. Very, very interesting. I do actually very much like that. With a safe Fernandes as a vice captain. Bench also, he's got Eiling on the bench. It's a good, strong team. I love the differential. Good luck. We've then got Kabir Singh. We've got Shahid Kapoor in the house. Mahrez captain as well. Salah vice captain. A strong bench and a strong back four. Very good team. Again, I wouldn't change anything about that. Save your free transfer. Move on to game week 3. We've then got FPL_minded. Love the Cancelo pick. Captain safe. Dallas, interesting pick. Again, it's a very strong team. Very, very strong team. We'll quickly move on to the last team, Matt. All-star FPL. Fernandes captain. Rafinha. I love that pick, to be honest. And I will stop there.
Thumbs up. That was pretty good. Especially, I would say, better than our previous guest that we had on. Yeah. So what do you think in general of those teams?
I mean, I think they're brilliant teams, to be honest. There's some really nice captaincy punts, like the likes of Mahrez. And I tell you what, if I had Mahrez in my team, or if I could bring him into my team without having to take a hit, I'd be tempted as well. Seeing no KDB in any of these teams, and I understand why, because team structure, Salah doing well, Fernandes doing well is interesting. But it does make me think, do I, at this point, be clever and try bring him in and captain him, with him being such a differential, and potentially get away from the kind of group think and potentially make that big rise, especially if Salah was to blank and I got rid of him and KDB goes and scores a double-digit haul? It's food for thought. It's risky play.
It is. We can chat about it all day, but like you said, it is a differential pick, and I agree with that. I agree with you going for KDB and potentially, moving ahead or being ahead of the curve and getting away from the pack, especially if Salah is going to miss game week 4 and 5 potentially. Yeah, so
Potentially, if he has to
quarantine, right?
isolate, quarantine for game week 5, potentially.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be tempting, but not for me. I'm not as brave as manager to make that
I
decision.
don't think I am as well. I learnt my lesson from last season,
Yeah.
trying to be too maverick, and I'm going to start this season and go on for quite some time just being template, and then towards the end of the season make those strides um, to really attack if I'm in a position of strength.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this segment, and now the much awaited team reveal from our expert. Here we go. On the screen, you can see BHUNA's team for game week 2. And he's previously touched on it a bit, the likes of Jota and Target being in his team. But talk us through your team and what's your thought process behind your starting 11 and your bench.
Brilliant. So when I sent this video, this team screenshot across to you, I was pretty nailed on to that team. Earlier in the week, I had some consideration on whether I should keep or sell Jota, but with the Salah news and Firmino also potentially going away game week 4 and potentially not back till game week 6, with also having to quarantine in game week 5, Jota should be set to start those fixtures. So I don't think I'll be getting rid of him, even if he doesn't start this weekend. I know we've seen in previous seasons how explosive he can be off the bench. My issue lies in predominantly Target, who obviously got destroyed last game week, and not having a bench with Veltman there being ruled out for the weekend, and Amati likely to drop out, albeit not confirmed for their new signing Vestergaard. Apart from that, captaincy, Salah, Bruno, I think it's a coin toss. I haven't really looked elsewhere. Trent is a consideration. The benefits of going Bruno over Salah for me are the fact that Bruno plays on the Sunday. I've not captained Salah and he's blanked. If I captain Salah, it's the first game week of the season. If he blanks, it's going to be a long game week. Having said that, the vast majority of people are going to be captaining Salah, so they're going to be in the same boat as you anyway. So I think captaincy is a coin toss. In terms of my team, I think I will probably be forced into making one transfer. I'll probably need to get rid of Veltman for another 4.5 defender, who I have absolutely no idea. Initial thoughts are Japheth Tanganga, just because of the Spurs' 3 next fixtures. And he's a differential, but I'm not too sure.
Who do Spurs have in the next 3, if you have it in the top of your head?
I know that, so they play Wolves away, then they play Watford at home, and then Crystal Palace away. So 2 away fixtures. It's not the easiest, but I don't think there's too many teams that have better fixtures in that time. Okay. Yeah, so he's at he's only 4.5 million. So I'll be able to bench him after those 3 fixtures and not really worry about it. And I mean, I heard, again, I didn't watch any football this weekend, but I heard he had an absolutely brilliant game. So I can't see him losing his place either.
I can vouch for that. Yeah, he from minute 1 he just got into Grealish's face. Was on it the whole 90 minutes. I think some people would say he was lucky to get away without a yellow, but I think he was good. He was really good. He was sharp. He was on it. He wanted it more. Yeah, he could be a shrewd pick. Someone that not many people might be looking at this point in time. But yeah, a good pick. Let's just jump on captaincy for just a minute.
Go for it. Before we move on to the captaincy, though, name me who your go-to 4.5 pick would be as a replacement for Veltman if you were to choose one.
I would, just because of the bias, I think Eiling, because of I think Leeds, it was unlucky. It was expected that Man United would be a tough game, but I do see a lot of potential with Eiling, especially if he's gonna start at right back for Leeds. They do switch a lot, and I mean switch as in when they attack, they flood one side and then make a switch, and it's either Rafinha that's always left open, or if he tucks in, I could see Ayling taking up that position, and he has had a few chances to score last season. I think he had one ruled out for offside, but yeah, he would be my pick given Leeds' potential to get goals as well as clean sheets.
Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, let's talk captaincy for just a minute before we end the show. Um, yeah, you
Yeah.
you touched upon it a little before, but what are the in your mind? What are the pros, or why would you go as Bruno captain? As he did get a hat trick last weekend. Is that sustainable? And what do you expect from him this week?
Bruno captain, yeah, of course it's sustainable. We saw what he did last season, and the fact that he plays Sunday against a pretty ordinary and basic Southampton team who got destroyed by a very basic Everton team. So I'm still tempted by Bruno, just the fact that he plays on the Sunday. I don't like usually having my captaincy in the first game of the game week.
Yeah, neither do I. So I can vouch for that. And I think with my United bias, as you can see, I'm extremely tempted by Bruno. I do have it on Salah at the moment because I think the home advantage is second to none for if you're looking at, especially to start this year, and the impact that it had on United last week. And
Cool. Yeah, so I mean, like I was saying, this is probably as 50-50 a decision as you can probably have in FPL, the captaincy between Salah and Bruno. I think there's benefits to both. It's a coin toss, and whichever way it lands, if it doesn't pay off, I wouldn't be too harsh on yourself.
yeah, I can agree. I can absolutely agree. If it does pay off in the favor of one, I think there'll definitely be an upside to it. But I don't think you should you know make your mind up either too early or just wait and see. Make a decision at the last minute if we do get any injury news or team news. Yeah, it will be
Yeah.
50-50, and yeah, pretty well set up team. I would say, and you're gonna use your transfer, right?
Oh, I didn't want to, but I might be forced into just so that I avoid playing 10 men, which is potential. So yeah, I might do.
So that's it for Boona's team reveal. To end off the show, I would just want to say thank you again for coming on. It's absolute honor to have you on. I'm new in the space, so I didn't expect you to say yes, to be honest. But it's an absolute honor. Thanks again, and I hope to have you on sometime soon.
Absolutely. I will be on very soon. And can I just say thank you for having me on? It's been an absolute pleasure. And can you let me know where you get your backdrop from? Because I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I think I could do with some help with mine. But other than that, I appreciate it. And all the best for game week 2, bro.
Yeah, you want to plug your socials?
Presume we'll be aware of it. But if you're not, it's at FPL BHUNA on Twitter. But more interestingly, I've just created, as you might be aware, a new Instagram page where I review food. So completely off topic. But if you're interested in stuff like that, please go give me a follow on Instagram at Rahul Reviews Food. My name's spelled RAHUL Reviews Food. Look forward to speaking with you all there. All the best.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Thanks again for coming on. Pleasure to have you on as always. I'll continue chatting with you on Twitter and whatever platform that we chat on. Thanks again, and this is where we end our show for today. Hit that subscribe button. Follow both Buna and myself. Our Twitter handles are right below our screens, as you can see. And yeah, hit that subscribe button. Let's hit at least 50 likes. We got up to 50 on the last one, so let's see if we can match that. Good luck for game week 2, and drop in the comments, put what you think will be the highest scoring matches, and I'll see you for game week 3 with another guest. Take care. Bye bye.